Can you hear me? Yes, that's much better. Thank you. Welcome to a 45-minute discussion on business intelligence with Microsoft Dynamics. Very passionate about business intelligence. It really does enable us to unlock the immense value held within your organisation's data. So what I want to do today is go through a number of things, but really quite a simple agenda. Start talking about the value of information held within your organisation. I want to focus on 4 key focus areas and relate those back to Microsoft Dynamics. And I also wanted to present some lightweight case studies to try to help you relate to how these technologies or the approaches could be applied. And lastly, a very quick discussion around making this work for you, getting you going on the journey, or if you already are on the journey, helping you along. So what I want to start is talking about the value of information. And we all know the value of information. Information is the lifeblood of any business. We've got oodles of it. We're collecting it at faster rates than we ever have before. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest that if those organisations are able to harness the information successfully, we'll see, amongst a number of other positive benefits, 3 really strong attributes: agility, productivity, and velocity. By agility, we mean the ability for an organisation to adapt to its changing business environment. The more information you at hand, the faster you can adapt, the higher agility you'll have. Productivity, being able to give our users, our consumers of information within our organisations, the ability to be much more highly productive, delivering information at their fingertips without having to wait for information to be delivered. Being able to answer questions now, not wait a day, 2 days, 3 days for that information to be collected. And finally, velocity. It's the ability to run our business at a faster rate, to inject performance into our business processes by quality information at our fingertips. The challenge for us is delivering that right information to the right people at the right time and in the right format. And today what I wanted to do is talk about how we can use Dynamics, our Dynamics solutions, to enable us to achieve this. What I wanted to do is break it down to 4 areas. Now these focus areas aren't necessarily the only focus areas of business intelligence, and in fact there's probably 10 to 15 I could name. But these are 4 that I thought were quite unique, that are able to demonstrate the real strength of the Dynamics products. So operational reporting, self-service analytics, I should say, and dashboards, very, very capable solutions delivered through Dynamics. And then process improvement, I've added that to the end because I think it's a really important part of business intelligence that's often overlooked. So let's kick into operational reporting. Excuse me, I'll just make that a bit bigger. So operational reporting is the most common form of BI that we see prevalent in most organisations. We use it commonly to distribute a large amount of information around our organisation. It's been around for a long time. Reporting solutions have been used for a long time now. We feel very comfortable with producing reports. In fact, we probably feel too comfortable at times. Our temptation is to satisfy all the needs of our organisation through a report. Someone would ask me, I need some information, I'll write you a report. I need the same information, but now I need an extra field, I'll write you another one. So what we end up doing is we end up producing a lot of reports. So my first strategy, and I'm going to present 4 of them in terms of operational reporting, is to minimise our overinvestment in reporting. And I'm going to demonstrate this with the other focus points. So the problem with operational reporting is they tend to be quite static. They tend to serve a single focus or a single purpose. So therefore, it doesn't really help me if I want to know something different tomorrow. They certainly require the most investment out of all the business intelligence that we deliver. And why is that? Because they take a lot of time to understand the requirements, to build the report, to optimise it for our needs, and then to maintain it over its lifespan. They're very costly in terms of building and delivering content. And if you consider what we often have significant number of reports, and they will only get bigger if we deliver information through reports, the cost of investment of BI goes up significantly. And as I mentioned, reports do a great job at presenting the same sort of information, structured information sources to our operational functions within our business, our front office, our back office, our consolidated management reporting perhaps. They're not very good at delivering content in the form that I need it today, which might be quite different than tomorrow. So that's my first reporting strategy. My second reporting strategy would focus on, let's focus on high value reports rather than high volumes. It's very, very easy to create lots and lots of reports. Very hard to find, very hard to optimize a reporting just purely for a single person. So what I'm suggesting is that we use the modern technologies and our reporting frameworks, all vendors' reporting frameworks, can cope with some pretty clever and high-value reporting, bringing multiple sections of information into a report. So I present here the first concept is look at the business process, build your operational reporting to consider what do people need during this business process that helps them deliver on that business process, rather than looking at each individual task. And that might significantly reduce the amount of reporting you do. As I said, we can produce reports that have multiple sections of very different content. Now, if that report flows through the business process as opposed to having 8 or 9 or 10 different reports for each task, it's a very powerful mechanism. We orient to the role. Generic reports just don't work. People have needs, they have needs to do their job, so we need to orientate to the roles, we need to be considerate. And our businesses are constantly in change, so we do need to review regularly and keep relevant. The less reports we have, the easier that's going to be. So there's 2 reporting strategies. The third one focuses on management by exception. Now this is quite an interesting topic because a lot of organisations are producing quite lengthy operational reports. So we've got a number of customers that would have numerous reports that they look at on a weekly basis, a daily basis, that might go from 10 to 15 to 20 pages. And we're expecting the consumers of this information to go through those reports looking for exceptions. It's pretty common. So what we're suggesting is the use of visual cues, graphical indicators, colour, is a really neat way of drawing attention to maybe those in those 10 pages, quickly identifying where those exceptions may be. Pretty easy to identify most often. Another technique we're using quite successfully is bringing all those exceptions, summarising all those exceptions to the top of the report. So that your focus is purely, if you're only focusing on the exceptions, you focus on that summary section at the top. You still provide the detail, and in this case you might want to provide bookmarks as well. So against the summary, you click on it, it takes you down to that record or that row. It allows you to be much more effective and drive higher levels of productivity. And another example, another consideration is alerting and scheduling. This is becoming a lot more prevalent. So delivery of reports when the exceptions occur, as opposed to building long-winded reports that people are looking through. So being able to use modern technology to be able to say, if this exception has hit the thresholds, if you've hit this threshold, send out the report. And this is really relevant for those in the mobile workforce as well. So management by exception drives significant productivity gains if you do it well. And my last reporting strategy around operational reports, invest in the people. Train and empower our people who are consuming this report. So one of the biggest killer of adoption in business intelligence is the capability of the people. It's not the technology, it's not the approach, it's not the frameworks. We can gain significant productivity if we actually invest in our people to not only understand with confidence how to use those tools, but allow them to use it in the way that they want it to work for them. Being able to choose amongst 2 or 3 or 4 tools. So investing in people is probably the most critical aspect of delivering content out throughout your organisation. And my last point there is investing in automation. There's still a large amount of our customers still manually collating reports and distributing them. In many of these cases, the ability to automate that process, the ability to provide them with functions or even workflow. So don't even deliver the report at all, but deliver a workflow solution. So if an exception occurs, kick off a business workflow, bypass that need for a report at all. So automation is a big deal, and we can do a wide range of automation with reporting. So therefore, 4 examples of reporting strategies for operational reporting. I mentioned the importance before of reducing our overinvestment in reporting alone. And this is not because I'm anti-operational reports. They serve a vital part of our organisation. But our businesses aren't overly predictable. Our businesses are changing. So it's impossible to expect that delivering fixed reports to our user base is going to meet the needs of their needs. Instead, the goal is to provide a framework, a self-service framework that encourages our users to be self-sufficient. They can locate the information. They can make faster and better decisions. And that's what self-service is about. In my opinion, self-service is the most effective investment you can make. You invest in the framework, you allow people to work in the way they work in a much more effective and efficient process. It significantly reduces the investment in things like reporting, support. In addition to it being an effective investment, it's the most transformational as well. So building a culture of self-sufficiency drives much greater levels of productivity, certainly accountability, because they've got the facts at hand, and confidence, because they have the fact to make those decisions. I'm a big fan of self-service. So how have we typically done this in the past? Well, we've had a solution such as NAV over there. We've exported to Excel, placed that data set on our desktop, and we've created one or many Excel spreadsheets from that. And that's worked very well. It's supported us very well, and finance teams are full of this type of self-service. The problem we get, though, is that it stores local data in islands around the organisation. Obviously, these spreadsheets are highly complex. It's not uncommon to have a 30-tab spreadsheet with lots of VLOOKUPs, cross-references. Makes it very hard to maintain a high level degree of integrity, errors, consistencies, those sorts of things, errors and inconsistencies come in. It also requires a large manual effort to maintain these spreadsheets. So what we can do is we can rely on our Dynamics tool sets to get away from this. And what I've tried to do here is I've tried to represent a matrix which gives an idea of how the different Dynamics products support self-service directly out of the box. And the key here is out of the box. Now, their approach to self-service is quite different, but they're all very consistent in terms of finding information, summarising information, and being able to drill down to the transaction level of detail. They are some of the best tools on the market right now for supporting self-service. You also notice that there is on the right-hand side, there is a category called Analytic Cubes. So AX has gone one step further. And instead of providing easy access to our key information we store within our Dynamics solution, they are able to be able to deliver more advanced analytics as well. And that's because they've leveraged the Microsoft Cube or Analysis Services technology. Now, out-of-the-box supports a great many number of our customers. You don't have to invest in any additional technology. But you'll see on the right-hand side, there is the capability to support external connections. And once again, the Dynamics products do this very, very effectively. You can effectively pull the information directly out of all 3 systems using tools such as Power Pivot, such as Excel, such as a third-party analytical tool. And this is very powerful, not because you're able to do it, but also it honours the security models below. So if you're giving this information to people, you're giving them the ability to pull the information out into a model. When they go to refresh that model, it's only showing them the data that they need. And that's been a challenge for a long time in a number of other products. We can get the data, but replicating the same security model is always very difficult. This supports that out of the box. So hopefully what you can see from there is that the Dynamics products do a really good job at self-service. It's a matter of training our staff and leveraging it and pushing it through the organisation. Now, one of the challenges we have as a BI team is that it's great to have these self-service products built in, self-service capabilities, but they are only reporting on the information that's stored within those solutions. So CRM solutions hold the information about all the CRM entities, for example. They provide good quality self-service. What about if you want to bring in the nav information, say a finance information, and overlay that with your CRM? Well, typically in the past, what we've done is we've built integration points. So we move a lot of data into the CRM system, or take some CRM data and put it into the NAV system, or AX, for example. And that's been really good, but the problem there is that we've got this complexity of integration between the two. We have to manage that. We have to build that integration. It's not always the easiest. So what we'd recommend is that you do build in a BI platform in this case, and this is where many of our organisations are going to. By bringing information from these various source systems, we can significantly increase the value of the metrics, overlaying a sales pipeline with customer spend, taking our key customer information that may be in CRM, overlaying it in terms of payment structures, sales structures, being able to bring in our salespeople, overlay those with some form of financial information. It's very, very powerful. And it's really where BI starts to really hit its straps, is when we start bringing this information from multiple systems around your organisation, bringing it to BI platform and providing you not just the standard analytics, but taking it that one step further. Things that the base solutions such as AX, NAV and CRM don't necessarily do out of the box. So I'd encourage you to think, absolutely use out-of-the-box self-service features, but also consider the BI platform concept when you want to bring data in and really enhance the information you're presenting out to your users. What I want to do now is talk about 3 case studies that I show you how some of our customers have taken this concept. And I show 3. The first one is an education provider. So they rely on donations to drive a number of their programs in their organisation. So they've implemented a call centre. That call centre obviously has performance targets. They want they wanted to be able to get access to the real-time donation analytics as well. And previous solutions they weren't able to do that. They also wanted to replace the whiteboard in the call centre, which gave them some current stats, and replace it with some up-to-date information. The ability to access how we're doing right now, last hour, compared to the previous day, compared to the previous week. That sort of stuff was previously pretty difficult to do on a whiteboard. And they wanted access to a lot of the management indicators that you would normally get out of a call centre product and donation analytics. So we implemented CRM and managed the end-to-end process of collating donations. We implemented self-service, obviously directly through to the data, underlying data through the out-of-the-box solutions, dashboards, and both management and the call centre staff can now get real-time up-to-date information directly out of CRM. This hasn't cost them anything other than a bit of training. Fantastic solution. They've now got real-time analytics to a range of different methods or measures that they weren't able to get previously. So that's a great example of a very simple use of the out-of-the-box features. My second case study is a wholesale and trade organisation. They've got NAV, but they enjoyed the self-service they're getting from that, but they want more advanced analytics as well. The ability to look at things over time, the hierarchies, all sorts of more complex advanced analytics. They've got the budgetary constraints, so they want a simple to use and affordable environment. And they wanted a common tool, so they didn't want to distribute 1 or 2 different types of tools around the organisation. They didn't want to distribute the NAV client, so what they wanted to do is try to consolidate on one tool if possible. So we implemented our NAV BI accelerator across a number of different modules. They now have access to a whole lot of customised and advanced metrics. And this took 3 weeks to implement. Very quick, doesn't need to take a lot of time. They deliver self-service directly through Excel, single consolidated platform. And now they've got access to drill down, drill across, a whole lot of really strong time intelligent functions as well. So that's a good example of using the out-of-the-box features but extending them one step further. The third case study, which I thought was highly relevant for this discussion, is our own environment, Intergen's environment. Now, I've just presented 5 of our key systems in as a graphic down the left-hand side. Finance, sales, marketing, our practice management system, and our resource planning system, the way we manage our resources. Now, we had a need which wanted a single platform across the lot. We want to make it very easy to use and accessible by all staff across multiple different functions, so we have unique needs depending on the types of consumers. And one of the challenges we have is the ability to present consistent analytics. So ability to trust that the analytics that Joe's using is the same as what Mary's using in a different function. So having a consistent platform has been really useful. So we built a BI platform. We've integrated the significant number of measures across all these different applications. And now we're able to produce much more advanced project and team analytics. We're able to produce much more advanced customer analytics, and so on and so on. So the outcome in our organisation is a short implementation time. It took less than 3 months to build the BI platform. We're still in the process of rolling it out. We've now got consistent measurement and consistent reporting across the organisation. An interesting outcome is you put decent tools on people's desktops, they become much more situationally aware. They take greater levels of ownership. We use Excel. It's a tool that works for us. Doesn't work for everybody, it works for us. And we use that across the organisation. And we're seeing a reduction of those fixed-based web reports that I talked about earlier. So that's been a really good outcome for us. Which brings us on to my third focus area, which is dashboards. And the use of dashboards to present summary information to your key users within your organisation. Dashboards are great at showing you, this is an example of an AX dashboard or role centre. So it's very powerful to present what is the current status. We can talk about activities. What do I do next? What's my workload? What's my urgent actions? Now, without role centres, you have to interact with a number of the modules to understand that. Role centres are a fantastic way of presenting that information in a common place. The ability to create different visualizations other than just standard charts and tables. Visual charts that may be interactive. The ability to put other key resources, so links. We can put in just other resources such as direct links to reports and so on and so forth. And lastly, where dashboards do come to life as well is supporting the business process, being able to kick off a business process. In this case, it could be creating a sales order, all from one role centre or dashboard. It's very, very powerful. So what I want to do is quickly touch on how each of these Dynamics products support dashboards. Actually, before I go there, if we do implement role centres very well, you are definitely seeing a reduction in the context switching between applications or within the same application. And that's a very powerful way of concentrating on the task at hand. It certainly brings situational awareness, being able to look at the aspects that are important to you across your business area. It's all in one place. All these dashboards I'm going to present to you enable you to trace directly from the dashboard back to the core data underlying these metrics. Very, very much an improvement in productivity. And obviously in a personalisation, each of these dashboards can be highly personalised to the person you're directing that dashboard at. So firstly, I wanted to talk about the Microsoft CRM dashboards. These are potentially the easiest to use dashboards out of the lot. They present charts, they present grids. You can present web content. Now that may be web content that you'd naturally think about, a website, maybe a LinkedIn profile or something from your intranet. But this can go as far as maybe some content out of your SharePoint site. If you're using, say, enterprise version of SharePoint, you might be presenting Excel charts or interactive Excel BI functions within your intranet. You can bring that directly into the dashboard as well. Now, very easy to build these. You basically do your advanced find in CRM. You can then drag those advanced views onto your dashboard. You can choose to represent it in a chart view. You can use it to represent it in an activity list, as you can see there. Now, from these activity lists, you can basically kick off the workflow. The charts can be clicked on, and you can go directly to the underlying information within those charts, and then you can kick off the process around that entity that you're looking at. Very powerful, very quick to pick up. And we're seeing probably the greatest level of adoption of dashboards is certainly through CRM. There is limitations. You can't do KPIs, you can't do scorecards without a bit of fiddling, but you can actually still achieve those with a bit of work. NAV supports this concept of role center, quite similar to the CRM dashboard. You basically create views. You can bring those views onto your dashboard. The charts, the views generally have to be created beforehand, and you just allow the users to drag those on. It takes into consideration their security profile, presents the information as they want it. You've got additional things to CRM, such as notifications, Outlook, so you can present your task list in that role center if you wanted to. They also introduced this concept of queues up the very top left-hand corner there, a visual representation of a stack, which allows you to get a visual understanding of the volume of an item, which may indicate that you need to work on that item. We can also represent alerting, so you can represent little triangles with exclamation marks on each of those queues, those stacks of paper, to indicate that you've crossed a threshold and you need to action it. So NAV has done a great job, introduced in 2009. In terms of AX, they've implemented the role center in the similar concept, but the big difference in AX is they've implemented it through the SharePoint technology. So it's not out of the box per se. They're leveraging the SharePoint technology, but they are delivering it through the client. Now, what the benefit of that is, they provide a whole lot of AX-style web parts to place, and you can see most of those are AX-related web parts. But you can also leverage all the native SharePoint web parts as well. So what you can do is produce very functional dashboards utilising the SharePoint technology. More than 30 role centres such as this are delivered through AX. So our job is to help you work through taking these role centres and personalising them for the people that they're aimed at. We talked about earlier the ability for AX to support, or AX support for analysis services cubes. That allows us to put in the top right-hand corner, it doesn't have to be there obviously, but we can introduce scorecards, some advanced KPIs straight out of the box. And in terms of the charting and reporting, probably the best out of the lot. You're able to leverage, if you've got your SQL Server, which you naturally have, you've got AX and Enterprise SQL, you can start placing some very interactive charting, reporting services reports directly into the view. And obviously with the standard support for links, for resources, document libraries, all those sorts of things, you can place those on there as well. So AX does certainly provide the greatest level of support for dashboards. So quickly, I want to present two case studies. Firstly was a transport and postal group. They basically have a CRM system that allows them to manage their organisation. So they have used dashboards across their organisation really effectively around sales team performance, around operational performance, but they've also used it, which I think is really clever, around the ability to help staff hit their call centre and their sales staff to hit their sales targets. And not only have they taken it that way, because they've raised the awareness of the sales targets, they're able to help them to exceed their targets as well. So it's become heavily involved in the personal development process as well. We implemented CRM across the sales process to achieve that. The dashboards are highly interactive, so they've gained a lot of operational efficiency. They've now got access to real-time performance metrics across their sales team, but also the personal achievements as well. And they're seeing an increase in productivity and accountability of their sales staff. This is core CRM out of the box. The second case study is a professional services firm. And we've implemented AX for this company, and specifically for a financial controller. That financial controller wanted to increase visibility across their area of interest. So we implemented a single role center. They wanted reduction in AX and the functionality and navigation around AX, and they wanted to view all their tasks in one place. As I said, we introduced the AX Role Center. We centralized a range of different measures across that AX, and we presented it through a range of different charts, queues, alerts. We introduced tasks. We did very simple charting, but it worked very effectively, and we also gave them a list of their key reports they look at. It's a very effective way of increasing productivity for that financial controller. So that's 3 areas that you can directly use out of the box in your Dynamics products. Very powerful. One area I want to talk about was this process improvement. An area of BI it's often overlooked, but the ability to drive significant process improvement through some techniques on top of your Dynamics investment. I'm going to demonstrate this through 2 case studies. The first is an engineering firm. Now, this engineering firm is down south, has been very effective, and has acquired about 8 or 9 companies over the last sort of 6 to 7 years. They for good reason, wanted to leave their ERP systems, or you couldn't really call them ERP systems. They have a big ERP system, but most of these were either running on a small finance system or even Excel in terms of their finances. And the problem they were having each month is it was taking a lot of time to consolidate this information. Not only was it taking time, but the error rate was really high. So what we've done is we've implemented an automated solution to bring in all this information at month end, certainly reduce the effort to collate this information. The focus has now gone from the collation, the 4 to 5, 6 days at month end to collate the information and distribute it, to more about the accuracy and the data quality. And one of the benefits that they've got from this is because we do bring this information into a BI portal, where they've also got really strong self-service across their organisation, which they weren't able to achieve before. Great example of process automation. The last case study is around a national recycling organisation. So they have CRM and ERP. Now they run an end-of-month cost allocation process. It's a complex allocation process. It takes a long time. They wanted to speed that up. They wanted to reduce the error rate. And they wanted, once again, to improve the analytics that they could get. So we implemented an automated system that brings them from CRM and ERP nightly. We implemented a cost allocation model, so a highly visible place where all the rules could be expressed. And because of this, they're able to now generate run the cost allocation at a much lower level of detail than they would have been able to previously. We can do it in under 4 hours. And because of that, they now have got accurate analysis of cost and margin across a range of dimensions in ways that they weren't able to achieve before. They've also now, something that as a byproduct of this, is they're able to compare cost centres. All the cost centres are very different. They all take different grades. They all process different grades of material. Some send them offshore to export. Some bring them to local recyclers. The challenge there is, how do you compare the performance of these cost centres? So what this is able to do is, because the costs were broken down based on these models, we're able to compare apples with apples. And that's a big difference to that organisation. So there's just 2 examples which I think are really important in terms of process improvement. And we can do that with various different technologies and approaches in our business intelligence team. So that's our 4 focus areas. So hopefully you've been able to relate to those and see how ways you can use your Dynamics investment to implement those types of solutions. If you need a motivator to invest in BI, and I'm sure you don't, I've taken this research from Forrester this year, which I think identifies really clearly the benefit that organisations will realise through an investment in BI. So they've split organisations. They did this research over 1,000 organisations. They've categorised them into 3 different groupings. The best in class, those that have implemented BI to the greatest level. The industry average, which is the 50% middle range, those have done reasonably well. And the laggards, which haven't done particularly well in terms of delivering on their BI investment. And what you can see from that is the direct correlation between those that are satisfied with the platform, the amount of information that's delivered on time, and the direct correlation to the year-on-year growth. So hopefully that gives you a great example that the laggards certainly have the lowest level of performance. That should indicate to you that from those statistics that investment in BI is definitely going to return a positive outcome on your business. And last slide for you today. How do you make this work for you? So what I've done here is presented a simplistic model about the way to increase your BI maturity within your organisation. I'm not going to talk through it, but what you can see there is very much steps that you could consider in terms of how you invest in BI and the types of activities or the benefits you may gain from that. And one of the key aspects of this is that you don't necessarily need to achieve the top being proactive, driving proactive analytics. You may choose to stop at accessible. You may choose to stop at adaptive. There's no pressure to be pushed right to the top. It's what works for you. And to give you the confidence that you may not be alone if you're thinking, I'm only at a visible or I'm only at a repeatable, is that probably about from our experience, 80% of organisations only sit in the repeatable and accessible areas. We've got a lot of work in New Zealand working with New Zealand organisations to increase their BI maturity, because you get to those top sort of 4, you're starting to achieve significant more benefits than if you just stop in the repeatable tier. It's really important if you do want to look at increasing your BI maturity is that you consider how you're going to do it. You generally can't just start at it in an ad hoc fashion. It's best to look at the organisation needs, build a roadmap. If you need us, we'll come in, we can help you understand how do you identify what are the areas of most benefit. We can put that into an implementation plan and we can help you on your maturity journey. So that's a quick 45 minutes of how you can use your Dynamics investment. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Is there any questions? Must be one. Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much, guys.